When you hear the name Jane Fonda, you don't just think of an actress. You think of an era, a face, a voice, and a woman who somehow kept reinventing herself when most people would have been satisfied with becoming a legend. Born into Hollywood royalty as the daughter of Henry Fonda, Jane grew up surrounded by fame, but her own path was anything but predictable. She stepped onto the screen in the early 1960s and quickly established herself as one of Hollywood's most recognizable young actresses, moving from dramatic roles to films like Barbarella and They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, where her talent began demanding attention on its own terms. But then something changed. Jane Fonda stopped being interested in simply being famous. The Vietnam War, the civil rights movement, and the political upheaval of the era pulled her toward activism, and she began using the very celebrity Hollywood had given her as a platform for causes she believed in. Her 1972 visit to North Vietnam became one of the most controversial moments of her life, earning her the infamous nickname Hanoi Jane, and creating a backlash that would follow her for decades. For some, she became a symbol of protest. For others, she became a deeply divisive figure. But here's what makes Jane Fonda's story so complicated. The controversy didn't end her career. If anything, she kept pushing forward. She delivered one of the defining performances of her career in Coming Home, earning her an Academy Award, then followed it with films like The China Syndrome and 9 to 5, proving that she could move between serious drama, political cinema, and comedy without being trapped by any single image. And then she did something nobody quite expected. She turned fitness into a cultural phenomenon. Her workout videos became enormously successful, transforming Jane Fonda from movie star into fitness icon and making her name part of millions of living rooms around the world. But beneath all those reinventions was a woman still wrestling with the pressures of fame, identity, aging, and expectations placed on women. She never seemed willing to let Hollywood decide what she was supposed to become. She stepped away from acting for years, then returned to the screen in Monster-in-Law before finding a completely new generation of viewers with Grace and Frankie. And somehow, even after decades in the spotlight, the story still wasn't finished. In 2019, at an age when most people might have stepped away from public life, Fonda was being arrested again, this time while protesting climate change outside the U.S. Capitol during her Fire Drill Fridays campaign. That image of an older Jane Fonda being taken away in handcuffs felt strangely familiar, because decades earlier she had faced arrest for protesting the Vietnam War. Different decade, different cause, but the same refusal to simply stand on the sidelines. That's what makes her journey so compelling. Jane Fonda wasn't just an actress who became an activist, or an activist who happened to be an actress. She spent her entire life challenging the idea that a person has to remain the same just because the world already knows who they are. Actress, Oscar winner, fitness icon, feminist, activist, controversial figure, television star, climate campaigner. Every version of Jane Fonda seems to exist alongside the others. And maybe that's the real legacy. Fame gave her a platform, but she kept deciding what to do with it. Some chapters brought admiration, others brought anger, controversy, and criticism, but she continued moving forward, changing, speaking, working, and refusing to disappear quietly. After more than 6 decades in the public eye, Jane Fonda's story isn't really about staying famous. It's about refusing to let fame become the final definition of who you are. Still evolving, still challenging expectations, still showing up, and that, more than any single movie or award, may be the most unforgettable thing about Jane Fonda.